Make that bass talk to me! Oh my god.
Okay, let's go.
Shout out to Artificial who want to know more about the way that synesthesia affects my electronic music experience, which got me thinking a lot deeper about it. Because this is just how I experience life, I never really thought about it or like tried to talk about it much, so thank you Artificial for challenging me. I want to focus in on drum and bass, UKG, and bassline because I find that those genres have some of the funkiest, grooviest bass lines that I've ever heard. So interesting thing about these funky bass lines, out of all electronic genres, these three show up as the most personified to me. Like usually I just see shapes and colors, patterns, all sorts of stuff, but with these three in particular, I always see like faces, creatures, people, monsters. Although these three genres are quite different, they have this like wobbly middle ground, you know?
Crisis. One again. I'll turn up with the fat one again. No trim on the back.
To give you a better understanding of how I see things, a small bassy wobble would look like this. And here's what a little snare drum looks like to me. But since music is basically a bunch of come and go sounds just layered over one another, I quite literally see that visually. So as the music progresses and more sounds get introduced, in the same way more colors and more shapes get introduced to me as well. So in a song or in a mix where there are a lot of come and go elements, like highs, lows, transitions in between different atmospheres, oh shit, now that was red until the jungle came in. Now it's red and green. The build up, there are more reds. Like, although this is jungle, I'm getting a lot of yellows right now. Oh, it's the snare. Jungle beats here are back to green. There's like less snare. They're more dark, more deep. When the music flows and changes like that, it comes out in a series of transitioning images for me. So kind of like my own little personal movie that I experience when I'm listening to music. So if I truly want to depict like my real experience, I might have to do some animating, but that'll be for another time. I'm just filming my computer screen. Ooh, Kara's insane. I love her so much. No, get her back on the decks. Get back. The flow of the music creates the images for me. But with UKG, drum and bass, and bassline, those sounds build up creatures and faces. Like, this is my favorite garage mix on YouTube. Or here's some stuff from Dizzee Rascal's new album. I'm a huge fan of his bass lines.
Coming in. I don't bend, I don't break off. Feels like Hamilton coming in first. Could have been worse. Could have been living my life in reverse.
Since we're on the topic of recent releases, there's also like... But you see, that's the wobbly bass that I'm talking about here. It's just such a different and expressive way to use the bass, and I love that. Like, there's so much you can do to the wobble sound in general. It can be bold or subtle, dragged out, change the reverb. It's like you create a different kind of womp effect, you know, like womp. Like, I'm thinking of like a bubble, like I'm seeing a bubble. It starts off at a low pitch and then it expands and then closes back up near the end. I mean, like, listen to this. Like, tell me that doesn't sound round. It's so round, it's like bouncy, wobbly. I hope someone gets it. This kind of bass in general can be used in literally any kind of way. similarly to a vocal. Because the vocal is so versatile, it's usually used in different ways in the music. Same thing with the bass. It's just as much of a key element. I love it when I feel like the bass replaces the vocal in the music, because it literally becomes the voice of the song, the personality of the track. So in my head, it's like, instead of seeing like a person speaking, I see all these weird wonky sounds and I'm like, who's responsible for that? That's when the creature comes out, the face, and I'm like, oh, this little fantasy alien did it. Because they're like weird sounds and they're not human, so...
Ooh.
Wait. Hey, we got some dub in the mix. Little beats, the bass in general is just really bouncy. There's like a bounce, a flow, because I guess it's dance music, so that's kind of how it has to go. That's the vibe that I get. All these three genres, they have a very bouncy vibe. I'll turn up with a fat one again. See, in this track, it's the drums and the beats that are, you know, leading the sound. Because of its melodic arrangement, it comes out as like very personified. In this kind of music, you really need like a pattern or a cycle or something that like flows very smoothly. Like physically, there's a groove that's like, if there's a good groove, I also assign that to like human movement. Because all of a sudden I'm seeing footwork, you know, people jumping up and down, like flinging their hands around. And then it becomes more than just faces and creatures, and I actually see like the dance floor, like people. This is a really good mix though. I gotta watch it, seriously. Drum and bass for me is even more personified than the other genres though, because the way the drums and bass work together like creates very interesting patterns, like very interesting grooves. But that's kind of how I see this more than just like weird faces. I see it as dance music. It becomes more movement focused. In this video, I'm specifically kind of talking about the bassier drum and bass, but like, there's so much jump up hate, and I get it. I just mentioned, like, you know, dance music needs to have a good flow. And this kind of choppy, bouncy bass, it's not the danciest in comparison to the other genres, which is arguable. But I do agree that the flow of that kind of jump up is a little different than the rest of the genre. But being the bass fanatic that I am, if it's well produced and interesting to listen to, that's still good bass. Like, the key thing with bass is, like, production. If you don't like what it sounds like, that's your subjective opinion. But if the production's still good, then that's good bass. That's literally... That bass is literally talking to me. It's telling me a story. A good artist would still arrange it in a way for it to flow with the music, for it to be music, you know? A lot of people argue and say like, oh, those are just sounds, it's not music, but it's the art of making weird sounds into music, making everything into music. And I appreciate it, I like it. You can disagree with me, but this is my YouTube channel, so you can get the fuck out. Why am I screaming? So you can say it's just a bunch of noise, but it's literally like it's the leading sound in the track. It's still arranged in a way for it to flow with the music. The bass is the main vocal. I hope this is making sense. It's really difficult to put my experiences into words here, so I'm trying. I'm really trying. It's just such a visual thing. Most of my experiences are linked to colors and like visuals. So maybe I just gotta show you more than talk about it, but I want to talk about it. I want to try to explain it. You know, my artist statement. How am I supposed to talk about those? Oh my god, I find it so funny how Kandinsky basically did the same thing with his art. You know, he just like painted music. In my abstract painting class, we literally studied Kandinsky and like talked about his processes. When I tried to do the same thing, my prof was like, no, you can't. Which is interesting, because why would we study him? Oh my god, I'm still mad about that class, because out of the 3 artists that you showed us all term, what's the point of showing us Kandinsky if you hated the idea of translating music into art? Like, you can't encourage us to push our creative boundaries and like do whatever we want if we can't actually do whatever we want. If you want to know more about that class, there's a video. Yeah. That's all I have on today's episode, just silly little music depictions. You can see the dubstep ones that I have up here. They're still chilling. If anyone's interested, by the way, I do have these available on my website as prints. I can't, how do I advertise myself? This is terrible. Okay. Oh my god. What was I trying to say? Yeah, I do have these as prints available on my... 8 drawings I did here and the 8 drawings here. These are going to be part of a music sketch series where I'm just going to be making a bunch of these things throughout my life. So, yeah. They're there if you're interested. I haven't printed these out, but they'll come in packs of 8, just like this. They're all printed on this like heavyweight material, and it's a matte finish, so it's not as glossy. So if you guys want to check them out, I do have them on my website, Womp.